I got some questions around, am I happy? Do I regret any decisions this year? And I've been having like a lot of imposter syndrome, especially before my 90-day review. A lot of you actually ask me where I work. I did not know what I was signing myself up for when I said that I was gonna go back to school. Maybe I do want to do content full-time. Obviously there are things that I don't love about myself, but it never was to the point where I wanted to get something done. Transparently, I had a drinking problem this year. It's been really hard. I think I'm still dealing with it. Oh my gosh, I told myself I'm not gonna cry. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Julia, and today is going to be my last video of 2024, not forever. And so I thought that I'd make it a little juicier by sharing with you all my very candid and honest thoughts of 2024. So much has happened this year, so I think this video is gonna be a long one. So go grab a drink. If you're commuting to and from your holiday travels, this is the perfect time to tune in. Before we get into it, I just quickly wanted to go through the structure of this video. I solicited questions from you all on Instagram, and a bunch of you actually replied, and I'm always just so grateful for the engagement and for the curiosity that you all have about my life, about things that I do. And one of my biggest goals this year is to bring more of my true self through my videos. This is year 4 of being on YouTube, and I have seen myself grow so much in terms of quality and craft of videos, but also through how I communicate with you all through my channel. I think I'm a lot more comfortable these days, and I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. I'm rambling. Today, my goal is just to have a conversation with you all. Like, you know, you're sitting there and I'm sitting here, and we're friends and we're just chatting. There's quite a lot of topics to cover, and I tend to talk quite a lot and elaborate a lot too. So we'll see how much we can cover today. I might just save some topics for future videos. And with that, let's just get started. I thought long and hard about an activity that I can do while I chat with you all, because I don't want to just chat for 20 to 30 minutes like this. But I'm really bad at multitasking. Like, I can't text and talk. I can't even text and listen. It's actually quite difficult for me to even do my makeup while talking to you all, but I've gotten a lot better at that. But today I wanted to do something a little bit more special. So I baked some sugar cookies because tomorrow I am going over to a friend's house for lunch, and I was gonna bring dessert anyways, and we are going to ice them together. Okay, let's start off with job. I think a lot of you all are very curious about my new job and how that's going. It's been going pretty good. I just had my 90-day review with my manager like 2 weeks ago, and I actually gaslit myself into thinking that I wasn't doing a good job, but the review was positive. Obviously there are things that I need to work on. It's crazy that I've only been at my job for almost 4 months, because it actually feels like I've been at this job forever. Like, the speed at which this company works at is just a lot faster than my previous one. Things move really fast. It is really busy. We're always constantly testing and shipping things and trying to move things along. This flows into like one of my biggest struggles, going from a pretty large tech company to a much smaller one. This company only has around like 750 people, I think, almost 800 globally. And a lot of you actually ask me where I work. I think I was really public with where I worked last time, and thankfully they were very, very cool and very supportive of it. I am not sure about this place, and I also was just worried that I would get fired, so I didn't want to tell you all. And I've been having like a lot of imposter syndrome, especially before my 90-day review. I gaslit myself into thinking that I was doing like a terrible job, so I didn't want to tell you all where I worked and then eventually got fired. That's not gonna happen. Where's some wood? Oh. Maybe in the upcoming months, I'll feel a lot more stable sharing with you all where I work. Right now, I'm scared of people at work finding out, although transparently, a bunch of people have found out. When I shared with you all that I worked at Spotify previously, I was already there for 2 years at least. So I was well established. I knew that I performed well. I knew the ins and outs of the company at that time, and I knew that I could share. at this place, I just don't know, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and I just want to play it more safe. Some of you have already actually caught on. I've gone the DMs about it. I'm not going to confirm or deny, but all I can tell you right now is that it is a Series C startup. It's headquartered in SF, and it's really cool. That's all I can say for now. Someone asked me if there were any struggles with the new job, and coming from a bigger tech company to a much smaller one, I think I just took a lot of things for granted at my old place, and this new place doesn't have like a lot of data infrastructures set up or a lot of experimentation and testing things thought out. One thing that I've been struggling with a lot, and something that I've been working really closely with my manager around, is keeping the 80 and dropping the 20. I would like to think that I'm quite a meticulous person, and data scientists as an occupation, I think we are very detail oriented, so we always cross our T's and dot our I's. But at a high growth startup, sometimes you just have to sacrifice some accuracy for speed, and that has been really challenging for me to adjust to. So the positive feedback during my review was like, I really appreciate how Julia is very meticulous and her work is very thorough, but then also the things I can work on is working just a little bit faster, and sometimes we don't have another day to debug why like 3% of users are not accurately exposed. Also, the scale is very different. I think at my previous company, 3% is very, very large because we have a huge user base. But here, 3%, you know, it definitely matters, but our bandwidth or confidence intervals are just much larger for error, and it's just taking me a little bit longer to adjust to. Just realized I'm really slow at this. I'm telling you all, like I can't really multitask and talk at the same time. Other than that, I've been really liking my job. I've been learning so much, and it really was like what I was looking for, just a new experience somewhere else. I obviously got that nice pay bump with this, and then also a linear move as well. So it has been really nice, and I feel really seen and appreciated here. It's been really good. Everyone thinks that, you know, I've been taking a step away from content for the past couple of months because job is so demanding and it's taking up a lot of my time. Yes, it is, but actually it's not a bad thing. I'm actually really, really enjoying my job right now. Like, I'm happy to be in the office. It's exciting to be in a room with my coworkers, and everything is still like new and fresh, and I am in this honeymoon phase with my new job right now, and I'm trying to protect that for as long as I can. Next, let's talk about school. This has been quite a change in my life. Candidly, I haven't been enjoying it that much. When I say there are things that keep me busy, but it doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying it. For example, work, it's busy, but I really like it. School, it's busy and I don't really like it. I did not know what I was signing myself up for when I said that I was gonna go back to school. I think in retrospect, I shouldn't have started school the same time that I started a new job. It was just so much change all at once. Candidly, I just forgot how to be a student. I remember my undergrad days and I was like, damn, those were the days. I love learning. I love going to school. But now as an adult, this is not the only thing that I'm doing. I'm doing like 100 things while going to school, and it's just not the same. And then also my program is primarily virtual, so it's not like I'm making friends. I've spoken to some classmates and they're really cool, but they all live in the West Coast. Not the same community building experience as undergrad. Transparently, I had a really, really bad time during midterms. I think I just forgot that midterms were a thing. I just thought that I need to go to class, I need to do the homework, but then I also have to study. I haven't really studied this semester. I hope no one from my program is watching this because I've been a really, really lazy student, and I think my CS undergrad degree has helped me pass this previous semester without a lot of studying. But yeah, I forgot there were midterms, then there were final projects and finals, and I forgot that I had to fight to register for classes. I think the more I stress about school and the less fun that I'm having in school, the more I'm questioning why I decided to go back to school. This might not be the motivational answer that some of you are looking for, because I know a bunch of you in the comments have been saying how, oh, it's really inspiring to see that you're going back to school. Like, I've been thinking about it too. How have you been juggling it? I have been dying. Like, I haven't really been juggling it. It is probably like one of the last things that I want to do, but I have to do it. A lot of you asked me around my motivation of going back to school, and I did share my thoughts in a previous video, which I'll link above. And at that time, it was just so clear to me as to why I should go back for my degree. So I rewatch that video sometimes to just remind myself why I decided to do this. And yes, logically it makes sense, but it's been hard. And a lot of people tell me like I can just very much stop, but I personally really do want to see it through. So I'm going to persist, but I'm going to give myself a little break next semester and only take one class, because that class is actually the hardest class for the entire program. So yeah. Okay, we can finally start decorating. Okay, that's not bad. Next, let's talk about content. So outside of a job, content has been a big thing for me this year because, as you all know, when I quit my full-time job, I was doing content kind of full-time, kind of part-time while I was looking for my next thing. Oh my gosh, this is so ugly. I wanted to make a wreath. Whatever. I blame the piping bags. These are not very fine. I've mentioned this before, but I never really had thoughts about wanting to be a full-time content creator. There's a couple reasons why, but I think the biggest one is because I have other interests outside of content. Like, I love tech, so I kind of still want to be in the tech space. I am very entrepreneurial, so it doesn't have to be tech, but I just really do think that content is just supplemental to the actual thing that I want to do, and content is really, really helpful for me to tell the story of what I'm doing. And the second part is that I felt a lot of imposter syndrome. I see full-time content creators and their following size and all the things that they do, and I just didn't really feel qualified. I was also really scared because who am I to be a full-time content creator? I'm not belittling this community, by the way. Like, it is so insane to me that I even have this many people watching my content. I am so grateful. I think both things can be true, where I'm very grateful, but that I also just don't feel qualified enough to be a full-time content creator. But during my 6 months, I got a lot of good signals and validation of my craft and the value that I bring to my audience. I also started to participate more in the community because I had more time to attend events, and I also got invited to more events because I was growing. So I met a bunch of really cool creatives, and some of them became new friends, and that 6 months actually brought me a new perspective. I feel like I used to be really firm on my stance of, Julia, you are a corporate baddie, you are going to be an entrepreneur, tech girly, startup founder, but now I'm like, maybe I do want to do content full-time. I don't know, I feel like my thoughts right now are currently a little biased because I've been deprived of having the time to make content for the past 3.5 months. When I had the opportunity to be a full-time content creator earlier this year, I really yearned for a job. And now that I have a new job and I'm in grad school and I have no time to make content, I'm like, oh, I would kill just to have time to make content. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. So that was more of like the positive realization of doing content for 6 months this year. I gained a lot of confidence in that. There was a negative side to it too, where I started to feel really insecure about how I looked. Obviously, there are things that I don't love about myself, but it never was to the point where I wanted to get something done. Yeah, in the beginning half of the year, I was just churning out videos, and I was filming myself basically every other day, if not every single day, for a little bit. And then there are positives to going to these events, but the flip side is like most of the events that I go to in New York City are fashion and makeup based, and these girlies are so beautiful and they dress really nice, they look really nice, they know how to do their hair and makeup very well, and you can't help but give it some extra thought and like start comparing yourself. Comparison really is the thief of joy, and it is really bad. I know that, everyone knows that, but sometimes you just can't help but compare. I distinctly remember this one night in June where I was up really late at night, like 3 a.m. I was scrolling through my old photos and I was like, damn, I used to look so much skinnier, one, but then two, I was like, my eyelids were even back then. I've only ever had really even double eyelids my entire life. Somehow, like starting last year, this eyelid started to fold a little bit more, so it's a little bit uneven now. Anyways, like that really got to me. And then I just started looking at my pictures and I'm like, I never smile because my face is huge. One of my content friends is very transparent about getting things done. She'll share her journey on Instagram. And so that night at like 3 a.m. in the morning, I went on her Instagram and I was scrolling through and I was like, where was this video where she got Botox? So I found the person, the nurse that did her Botox, and I messaged them, do you have space for a consultation? And when I woke up the next morning, they replied and they're like, actually, yes, I have an opening at 5:30 p.m. today. It just opened. Would you like to come in? And I was like, yeah. So this was basically like an impulsive decision. So that day I went in. This is literally within like 24 hours. I went in, I got the consultation, and she said that I could use some masseter Botox. Some people actually call me out on Instagram and they ask me why I don't smile in my pictures and why I always look like this. Well, one, because this is my model face, but two, it's because I get really insecure about my smile. Not like this area, but I don't like it. I don't like this part when I smile because it kind of like juts out. It was validating to hear the nurse tell me that getting masseter Botox would reduce this a lot. And just for context, 2 years ago when I went to the dentist, they told me that I was grinding my teeth so much when I was sleeping that my molars are just kind of flat. They said that it's probably because I was stressing so much. There were two solutions, well, three. One was to change my lifestyle. Two was to get retainers or mouth guards, and three was to get masseter Botox to release the tension in my jaw. And I am shit scared of needles. I will never voluntarily get a shot. I didn't get my flu shot or COVID booster this season, but you should. Like, I am shit scared of needles. I still cry and I'm 28. So for me to not get masseter Botox for literally a health condition, but to get it because I felt so insecure says a lot. But yeah, after the consultation, I asked her when is the next time I can come in for an appointment if I want to get it done. She's like, actually, I'm free now. And I was like, oh. And she's like, yeah. And I think we both knew that if I walked out of that room that day, I would not have gotten it done. So I mustered up the courage and I was just like, all right, let's just do it right now. So we did it. And so I got my masseter Botox. I don't know if you all see a difference, but I definitely do. And maybe it is like half physical and half psychological, but I feel a lot more confident when I smile these days. So a lot of you ask me if I'll ever reconsider doing content full time. And before it was a hard no. Now it's like a, I don't know, maybe one day I'm open to it, but I think I also need to figure out like my boundaries if I were to ever take content full time, build up my confidence and also my mental health and comparison issues with other people. So a lot of things to think through and a lot of things to sort out on this front, but nothing about this is going to change anytime soon. At least for the next year, I'm still going to be your corporate girly and part-time content creator. Okay, this one's better. Okay, next up, let's talk about relationships, starting with family. Family has been a really big thing for me this year. As a lot of you know, unfortunately, all of my grandparents passed within the past year, actually. The death of my grandpa gave me a lot of courage to quit my job and start the job searching process. And when you start to experience death, you start to view life a little differently. And that was me this entire year. I think I really looked deep within myself and asked myself, like, what's important to me? What do I prioritize? What do I deprioritize? What do I want in life? How should I live my life? I've had so many of these like existential crises questions. Not all of them are answered, but it's been really helpful just thinking through things, and I think I'm making progress. Someone on Instagram asked, they recently lost their grandma, and they were wondering how I've been coping with grief. And to that person, first and foremost, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm sending all of my love to you and your family. And in terms of dealing with grief, I feel like I'm still kind of dealing with it. Transparently, I had a drinking problem this year. And no, it's not what you're thinking. I actually had a problem with not being able to drink. I don't know if you all knew this about me, but I do like a drink on the weekends. I love going out and hang out with my friends. I really enjoy the nightlife here in New York City, and I think when you're young, in your 20s, you should be enjoying all that New York has to offer. And I think New York City is one of the best places for nightlife. It literally is the city that never sleeps, and that is something that I genuinely enjoy. But at one point in this year, I just wasn't able to do that anymore. And I recall the very first time that I noticed it happening, it was, I think, around March. I was at a club with some of my friends. I had a couple drinks and I was getting tipsy. One of my friends asked to go use the bathroom, so I went with her. And I remember the exact moment. It was when I was at the sink, I was washing my hands, and I look up and I see myself in the mirror, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm not gonna look like this one day. I think this touches upon the topic of aging as well, because I just turned 28 last month. This whole perception of life and death and aging has really gone to me in a really bad way this year. And I'm gonna try to talk through my thoughts without literally bawling, but if I do start to shed some tears, just know that this is like a really hard topic for me to talk about. There is a part of like, I'm aging and oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be youthful anymore, right? Like one day I'm gonna look at the mirror and I'm gonna be like, where do these wrinkles come from? Why don't I look like what I look like right now? And that scares me. But what scares me even more is, if I'm aging, what about my parents? What about my siblings? What about my friends? And then on top of that, it's like I've witnessed the generation above me passing this year. And yeah, I feel like I still haven't fully processed that they're gone. Obviously, I know that they're gone, but it's been really hard. And to the person who asked me how I'm dealing with grieving, I think I'm still dealing with it. Oh my gosh, I told myself I'm not gonna cry. I just cry every time I think about my grandparents. I'm like, how can you not? Because like, you just love them so much, right? On the day-to-day, I control a lot of my emotions. I'm really good at controlling what I'm thinking, and I block off a lot of negative things. But when I get a couple of drinks in me, I start to let loose. I let my guard down. These thoughts come flooding in. And so it's been really, really difficult for me to drink these days. So in March, that was the first time that I realized it. And I just tried to brush it off. But every time I drank after that, I just felt really sad. And I wouldn't really show it when I'm out with my friends, but when I got home, it'd just be a pool of tears. And I just didn't really know how to deal with it. I think the peak was Memorial Day weekend of this year. I was at Elsewhere with my college friends, and I remember this night because this was the night that my grandma passed. We were buying rounds of drinks, and by the fifth drink, I started to feel similar feelings of like being sad. And my friends noticed and they're like, hey, what's wrong? So I was like, okay, I'll let you in on my thoughts. So I literally sat them down at Elsewhere and I was like, I'm really sad about aging. But on top of that, I'm sad about my parents aging. I'm really scared. I'm really anxious about one day everything not being here. I'm really scared of change. I'm really scared about the passing of time. And while I was rambling, my phone just kept buzzing. And by the time I checked my phone, I saw like 5 missed calls from my mom. And I was like, oh shoot, it seems like I have to take this. She was in Vietnam at this time, by the way. So the time difference was like 12 or 13 hours. It was 2 a.m. in the morning. So I find my boyfriend, I tell him, we go outside together. I hop on this call and my mom was like, grandma's gone. I didn't even say bye to my friends. My boyfriend had to text them that we were leaving. So we exit elsewhere. We're on the sidewalk, on the curb, waiting for the rideshare to come. And I am just like squatting down like this, and I'm like heaving. Like I was just making a bunch of like loud noises, and I was crying to the point where people came up to us and they were like, hey dude, like, is everything okay? Are you with her? And they'll be like, is he with you? And I guess they're just really worried about me. And I was like, yeah, that's my boyfriend. And then we're in the car. I continued to sob. I called my sisters, and then I booked the next flight out to Guangzhou. That was peak of me realizing that when I drink, all of these sad emotions come out and I just don't really know how to deal with them yet. So this summer I took a couple months off from drinking, but it felt like I was running away from the problem, because that's not what I want. Like, I want to have a good time. I want to be able to get over this mental hurdle and just enjoy my life again. And I think a lot of my anxiety about the future, and also my sadness about death and grief and things like that, which are all very valid, it was hindering me from living in the present. So I started to ease myself into it. After a couple of months, I started off with 1 to 2 drinks. Now I can have like 3 to 4 drinks and be kind of okay. But every time I'm drinking, I try to have my boyfriend around if he's free, because up until now, he's one of the only people that kind of knows my situation. It's nice to like not come home and just be by myself. If we're drinking together, he'll stay the night with me, and it's just really comforting to have him around. He's been really helping me through this. Why am I crying? And so to circle back to the question of how I've been dealing with grief, it's actually been really difficult for me. It's been really shitty all year, but some things that I've been doing is like speaking to them in my head or out loud sometimes if I'm up for it, especially to my grandma on my dad's side. I was really close to her, and I would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for her. I think that death has been the hardest for me to cope with, obviously because I'm crying so much right now. But what's been helping me is like I think about her a lot. I don't avoid thinking about her. I actually let myself remember her as much as I can. I've been journaling a lot. I sometimes write about things that are happening in my life in hopes that like she'll read it. I also keep a picture of her in my journal, so every time I write, I just kind of get reminded of her. Everyone copes differently. I think for me, I don't want to completely forget about this person because I love them so much and they mean so much to me. So instead, I'm trying to remember them and remember them frequently and still think about them every single day. Okay, I think that just got really deep. I wasn't really trying to cry or overshare on here, but that's kind of what I did, and I really want to go back to therapy next year. That is a big goal. I was in therapy for a little bit, but then obviously when I quit my job, I lost my health insurance, so around February of this year I stopped going to therapy, and I felt like this was a year where I really needed it. I just needed someone to talk to. And now that I have health insurance again, my old therapist is out of network, and she was actually really good. I really liked her, and it is true that finding a good therapist is kind of like dating, and I just don't want to go through that process again. So maybe I will pay out of pocket for her. Vicky, if you're watching this, I miss you, girl. This year I've been prioritizing family a lot, and because of that I think my friendships have become a little bit deprioritized. So my mentality with friendships shifted quite a lot actually this year. Like a switch just flipped inside of me. So for example, like let's just say last year I had 100 hours to dedicate to friends. This year I only have 50, and therefore I have to really pick and choose who I want to spend my time with. But I feel like this is just the natural process of growing up and adulting. Like unfortunately, as we grow older, I think there's just going to be a little less time for friends, because like now I have work and school and content and my family, so many family things, and my relationship, which we'll get into. And so I think this year has been a slow year for friendship, but I've been doubling down really hard on relationships that I really care about, for people that I think will stick around for the long run. That doesn't mean that I'm not open to making new friends. I definitely have made new friends, especially in the content space, but I'm just a lot more mindful about friendships these days and how much time I spend with specific people. I've learned so much about friendships in my 20s, and this could be a whole video in itself, so let me know if you guys are interested in that. Okay, moving on to my romantic relationship. I got so many questions around my boyfriend. So we just celebrated our 3 years this past summer in August. So we're still going very strong. I still get a lot of questions around when I'm going to introduce him to you all. And to be honest, I'm quite comfortable now because I am very confident in my relationship with him, and I feel really comfortable in our relationship too, in terms of the community that we've built here. When we first met, I was 24 turning 25, and I just gained like 10,000 subscribers at that time, so I was really hesitant on including him in any content. But now I know he's here for the long run, and I would like to introduce him to you all. I just don't know how to do it. He's also down to come on and say hi. I don't think we're the kind of people to make a whole like, this is my boyfriend video kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's just a lot of attention that he doesn't really want. So maybe he'll just make a cameo appearance on a random vlog. He'll just pop in and be like, hey, I'm Julia's boyfriend. Okay, I'm down to the last cookie. What should I do? Maybe one more bow, because I think that's the cutest thing that I can do. Okay, the cookies are done. They are so ugly. I wanted this one to look like a peppermint. Maybe if I squint my eyes, it looks like it. Okay, I want to quickly wrap up my overall thoughts for 2024. I got some questions around, am I happy? Do I regret any decisions this year? And I would say that I don't really regret anything this year. I still feel like quitting my job was the right move for my mental health, for my career progression, for just that time in my life. I might regret going to school just a little bit. I really hope that with the next semester things will get better. I'm really happy with where my career is at right now. I'm happy with all that I've achieved this year. I'm really, really proud of myself, but obviously there were some really sad things that happened, so I'm still dealing with grief. I'm still trying to figure out why I get so sad and depressed actually thinking about aging. There's just things that I can definitely improve on and things that I want to work on for the new year. Next year is going to be a big year for me in terms of prioritizing my physical health, but also my mental health. Yeah, I feel like that should be a goal every year, right? I write resolutions every single year, not saying that I achieve every single one of them, but I'll share more when the time comes. And with that, I am going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching up until now. I know this was probably a really, really long video. Really, I am so thankful for this community, so grateful for you. I don't know how many times I need to say that, but it really is true. And in the last video, I know I called you all my juice boxes. Let me know if you guys like that. I like someone said Julia's gems or Julia's jewels. Yeah, let me know if you all want like a community name or if that's tacky now. I don't know. But I really like Julia's jewels because my nickname is also Jules, but Jules. My gamer name back in the day was Joules, like the unit, or we can go with gems, which I like as well, or we can go with juice boxes. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Leave them in the comment section down below. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you all in 2025. Bye. This is too far away. Bye.